Hello and welcome to Next Gen Money Coaching. My name is Mark Dooley. I'm excited that you're here today. This is our first installment of our Friday Money Talks. We're going to start opening this thing up to everybody, letting everybody know what's going on in the world of money and applying it into the next generation, into your generation, into your life, into your money, into your wallet. Today is our first episode, and we're going to be talking over wills, trusts, and estates. And we have with us today an estate planning attorney. Matt, are you here with us?
Yep, I'm here.
Here we go. Awesome. So we got some questions that we have a private group as well. Those of you that are watching on our page, Next Gen Money Coaching, we have a private group where I go on and answer questions about burning topics that people have when it comes to the world of money. We're opening it up today for everybody, anybody who's like Next Gen Money Coaching, to be able to experience it, because we want to also show you some of the value that we bring here, and that's why we wanted to bring Matt. Matt, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Matt Dooley. Yes, I am Mark's brother. Let's get that out of the way right off the bat. I'm an attorney here out of Northwest Indiana. Been licensed in the past in other states, Illinois and whatnot and everything. But I primarily been focused my attention here at the region most recently, and been building out what I call more of a strategic planning law firm. It's a law firm that is based on some very simple fundamentals that I believe that everybody should have access to great legal solutions. And in order to do that, you need to be able to have certain things that can be achieved, which are things like it needs to be custom for you, it needs to be convenient, and it needs to be affordable. If you have those three elements, I believe that everyday people can get everyday problems fixed with everyday legal solutions. And it's been working out great for a lot of my clients over the last year or so. And it's what led me to leave a bigger firm to go do something completely independent on my own and be able to serve the masses,
Oh, it's great. I love that. I know, obviously we share a very, very similar core value, a similar thing for helping people, wanting to see people get to a better place, not just with their money, but also in their legal matters. I want to make sure that you're protected on those things as well. So appreciate you coming on. We have questions that have already been submitted to us, and I want to let you just dive right into them. Is that all right?
Yeah, exactly. That's fine. I mean, yes, we both have boxing things in the background. If that's the first question, like, did someone submit that ahead of time? Did they know I would have something boxing in my background too, or no?
No. That we have anything on the boxing side?
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, basically, you got Rocky and Apollo Creed, with the Muhammad Ali side of that, right? It's two sides of the same coin.
Yes, exactly.
Cool. All right. First question is, what is a will?
Okay, so a will. Very simply, I'm not going to speak, and you'll know this about me. Any of my clients can tell you this. I don't speak lingo, like legal lingo or mumbo jumbo that's going to keep you all confused with complex, big words or nothing. So I'm going to keep it really, really simple. A will is a document that is the blueprint for the court to follow after you die. It's that simple. It is a blueprint or instructions that you are giving anybody and everybody, including a court, to follow. Does that make sense?
Yeah, tell us a little more. When we say a blueprint, like a house? Like you say blueprint?
No, there's specific instructions that are built on the premise that in every state, there are already laws on the books, okay? There are already laws on the books that if you don't have a will, you are giving the power to what happens to what you own and who you love to the state and what their rules are, or perhaps even a judge and what he or she might think on what to do. So instead, what you do is you're taking the power back from the system. You're taking it back from the state. You're taking it away from a judge, and you're creating instructions to help the court follow specific ways of doing things. The other great thing about it is those instructions are great because guess who else might have issues? Maybe some family members, right? you're removing those family members from having some very specific and sometimes very traumatizing to families fights, right? And the third thing I want to say that the will does is it gets rid of some of my favorite things I like to talk about, which is lawyer fees, attorney fees, right? So, as you may or may not be aware, that sometimes lawyers are not always the cheapest people to talk to, right? And so what ends up happening is a will gives that blueprint to almost like a fast lane. It gives you a path for the court to follow so you can expedite probating the estate. So it's a big misnomer when people say, oh, I got a will because I'm going to avoid probate. That doesn't occur. It expedites it. It gives it instructions, aka a blueprint, for the court and everybody to follow if in the event you die. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I think it makes sense. And for you guys out there, if this is making sense, let us know. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a heart. Let us know that this is going there for you. If you have a question, we have some that have already been sent in to us, but we'd love to be able to get your questions here, get anything answered that you guys have as well. The next question we have is, how do you get a will?
How do you get a will? Well, there's many different ways to get a will. Like I've had clients tell me before in the past, well, I can just go buy some software or something to go do it. You can, but is it really customized for you? Do you really know that it's appropriate for either your state or your specific situation? That's the first thing I'll say to you. And was it actually drafted by an attorney? That's another big factor there. But let's be very clear here that if it's a matter of trying to prove that you've given some instruction to somebody about what would happen if you were to die, I remember sitting through law school and hearing about the old Blackacre farm and the guy sitting at the bar and scribbling something out in the napkin, how do you get a will? There's many different ways to get one, but finding the right one that's for you is most important. Finding the right way that's going to work for you and your family to ensure you're getting not only the best answers, but also good value. Because again, as the attorney, I could sit up here right off the bat and say, go to an attorney, spend a fortune, right? I mean, that's the first thing everyone probably expects me to say. But I can be honest in saying the fact that maybe not everyone's ready for that. Maybe not everyone needs that. But what I can tell you is there's definitely a big difference, though, between finding documents and software and tools that are ran by attorneys and drafted by attorneys versus just a template form you get off of line or you stop at Staples and see if they have a packet for $10 and hope to God it's been done right. Again, this is a very personal topic. We're talking about your mortality and we're talking about the legacy you're going to leave behind. And do you want that to be something where, frankly, it causes stress, causes families to fight, causes families and people to spend unnecessary money because things weren't set up correctly? It's very simple things that can be done and can be expedited for people. And that's why, I've been on a mission to really restructure how I'm going to how I'm going to practice law myself. And then how am I going to take those legal solutions and the practice that I've built over the years and distribute it to the masses in every state.
That is a big, big mission. How you coming along on that?
It's taken some time. You're trying to figure out ways to make sure documents and solutions work for everybody in their state, and then you have to customize them for people specifically in their state. Then you have to make sure that they are customizable for the client so that they can enter their information. And it's taken some time, but I can tell you the end result is going to be something great, because what I know is this. Throughout my whole legal practice, I've been practicing 13 years now, and even in sales and in business before that, what I know is that every single time I have done something, it's always been somebody come to me and say, but Matt, I want you. I like the way you explain it. I want you to do it for me. I want you to work with me, right? Mm-hmm. And here's the truth of the matter, is that 80 to 90% of it is relatively the same. It really is. So when you say, how do I get a will? Yeah, a lot of it is kind of the same, but there's specific parts and specific sections that need to be customized for you. Does that mean an attorney needs to charge $500, $1,000, $2,000 to meet with them to do it? Not necessarily, not for probably 80 to 90% of the people watching here today. But there is specific parts that make sense to say, I should really get either some instruction, some coaching, or some legal advice, right, from an attorney on what's best for me. I can tell you right now, too, as well, if anybody here who's dealing with any sort of higher net worth, you're thinking about some tax planning or some wealth planning in some capacity that you've not met with an advisor or an insurance agent to figure out what makes sense for you on that side, you most certainly probably should talk to an attorney. I want to make sure it's clear. If you're, if you are thinking more from the financial planning aspect, since we're talking about money, I'm on Next Gen Money Coaching. You really should be talking to your advisor, talking to your insurance agent, and your money coach, of course, and then making a determination on maybe I should be talking to an attorney sometimes because of what I'm trying to plan out and what I'm trying to achieve. Because there are different results based upon what you want to try to achieve and the documents you need to have in order to do that.
Thank you for the plug. Thank you for you need to talk to your money coach. Make sure you're on the same page with them on the plan.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've been sitting there drinking at the bar and I had somebody yell, I need 2 witnesses and a notary. Stat. I need them over here right now.
Actually, the case with that one was the fact that they didn't have the witnesses. They didn't have witnesses, so it wasn't valid. It was just So anyways, oddly enough, I just remember that from law school.
Awesome. Well, as a notary, I know, okay, there's certain things you do have to have on there and get things going. No, that's we can be like legal nerds too in the middle of doing this and go we could probably go down some pretty nerdy paths.
Probably that people would be like, what the heck? Like that's to me, I'm laughing deep down because I'm sitting there thinking, I'm envisioning like somebody saying, quick, I need a notary and 2 witnesses or something. And Mark like flipping out like a gunslinger, like, aha, he's got his notary stamp on him. He's ready to go. You know what I mean? And then you just find the random 2 drunks in the bar who just happen to be there. They're there.
Norm, is that you? Norm, come here. I'll buy you a beer.
Come here. I'll buy you a beer. Come here. Come watch this. Come sign this thing for me, right?
No, that's not going to get contested at all.
Well, and that's where I want to say something real quick. That is why there's a difference between just legal software that says, or a template document online by itself, and not getting the proper either legal advice or coaching and training from a lawyer designed product or software or tool. Because many of the people that I've ran into in the past have said, we ended up having a problem. We ended up having to go to probate anyways. And it was a pain in the butt. Let me tell you what happened. And everyone tells me the horror stories. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, did you get the will done by an attorney? Well, no. We got a form online and we filled it out. And then you hear the couple little things that they screwed up or that they missed. And you sit back and you go, and you're surprised? So again, I really want to distinguish the difference between buying the form from Staples, buying some sort of software for $30, $30 or something like that from Best Buy or something, you know what I mean, or whatever it is. And then, on the high end, yes, you have the attorney, but then there are now more and more legal solutions occurring. I'm building one. I mean, again, it's something that is taking my way of communicating the law, talking to everyday people about everyday legal problems, and coming up with everyday solutions, right? Yeah. So it's really what it's about.
What you're saying to me right now is making me think of a question, and that's how do I know it's being done right, or when do I find out it was done wrong? Let's put it that way.
Oh, yeah. When do you find out when it's done wrong? When you now are no longer talking to your brother, and you are in the middle of a fight and with court, and everyone's got $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 in legal bills. And really the only person that makes out it is either the state, because the state steps in, the judge, the court system does, and the attorneys. Oh, and in the meantime, your family suffers. So I know it sounds really horrible to take the worst extreme, but when you sit back and ask, when do we find out? That's when we find out. We find out at the absolute worst time. And when is it? After you're gone. That's the truth.
Yeah. You're right. Absolutely on there.
Yep.
So we actually had a question come in right along the same side as this, and they're asking, do you need a lawyer to get
Yes.
an estate plan.
Sorry. Yes. Everything. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's like asking an insurance agent, do I need more insurance, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I'm sorry. That's impulsive. It's just wired into us. You know, do I need to? Yes. You just answer the question. So, no, but the truth really is, and you're going to love this answer because this is the other lawyer answer. It depends, right? You know, I like to believe that everybody should have access to a lawyer whenever they need one, right? I love to believe that. But even though I can make an argument, they seem to grow in trees nowadays. Even though I can make that argument, people don't have access to them, right? They don't have access to get their questions answered. You know, and it's funny because as I've been developing out the software and the tools that I'm building out for my community, the people I'm going to be working with, I've noticed that not only do we have 80 to 90% of the stuff that's relatively the same, but then when it comes to the customization, there's probably 20 to 50 questions that I can cover in FAQs and other things that answers to people's questions. That it's almost like I'm sitting there right there with them, right? I'm giving them information, I'm training, I'm coaching, I'm helping them with the document formation that needs to occur. But you don't have to be paying me my $300 an hour hourly rate, right? So again, the question is, do I need a lawyer? Let me be very clear. To create a will, you do not need a lawyer. You need two witnesses, right? They need to be of 18 years old, and they need to be of sound mind, right? That's it. You don't even necessarily need a notary, right? You need to have those people. Oh, by the way, another big one people miss, your witnesses cannot be a vested party or somebody who gets something, right? So Mark could never witness a will for me because he's part of my family, and there's things that carry over to Mark through my estate plan, right? So that's just something, it's just a quick tip that I want to sit back and say that a lawyer is going to make sure you get that right. But a lawyer can communicate that in a lot of different ways. They can communicate that via online, in person, or whatnot. So again, do I need a lawyer? No, because you could write it on a bar napkin if it's done correctly, right? If it's done correctly. We just covered that though, you know? Yeah. So again, if you have questions, I'd be more than happy to reach out and then we'll be able to talk about it and see what is best for you, what is best for your children, what is best for your future, your legacy, and making sure that you take that into consideration, because that's the other thing that a piece of paper you buy from Staples cannot take into account, are those things.
Now, just to be clear, it's not Staples directly that you're dogging here. I mean, Staples has this chair is from Staples. I mean,
Staples is the only office equipment supply in my town. So they get a bad rap for document formation templates. So if Office Depot was in my town, if Office Max still existed, or however that worked with the merger, I don't even know anymore. But like, again, it's the one I have in my town. So they get a bad rap just because they've come to mine all the time. So yeah.
Poor Staples. Poor Staples. Yeah. By the way, your sponsor for the show is Staples Office Supply Store.
That's funny.
What's the logo at? I need the Staples logo.
Yeah, the Staples logo. And on that note, today's show will be brought to you by Staples.
Oh, man. I heard they make it easy. They have a button that does all this stuff. It's great. It's so wonderful.
Yeah, that's funny.
All right. So our next question.
Okay.
All right. We're going to talk. Like we call this show Wills, Trusts, and Estates, right? We're talking about all the different things out there. And like, what is the difference between a will and an estate?
Okay. So when I like that you brought up Staples and the easy button, like as far as that's concerned, because we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what an estate plan really is, right? So I think an estate plan is kind of a misnomer. I hate that. I really hate that we use the word estate plan so much, because in my experience, it creates a hurdle in people's minds already going, well, I'm not J.R. Ewing. And if you don't know who J.R. Ewing is, that he was from a show called Dallas, okay? And we're not the Ewings. We don't have a ranch. We don't have a massive estate. In more modern day terms, you might say Mr. Burns, right? So, I'm not Mr. Burns. I don't have this palatial estate. I don't even own a house, you might be saying, right? let me just start with this premise to begin with. If you love anybody or anything, whether it's a charity, whether it's a person, whether you have family, okay? If you love someone and you own something, anything, which we all do, you need an estate plan. Because the key understanding, the difference between a will versus an estate plan is a will is what happens, what? We covered this. It's what the courts and everybody has to follow after you're gone. But when you talk about your full estate plan, we're talking about everything that could happen to your estate even while you're living. Okay? Even while things are happening right now. So the way I like to say it is this. Let's get rid of the word estate plan. Let's get rid of that. I hate that word by itself without having context. I sit back and say, what if you had some simple buttons? Now, I'm not going to use Staples' version of that because that is a trademarked item, okay? I'm not going to use it, but we'll call it a simple button, right? And mine's just a little bit off red. It's not the bright red of Staples, of course. It's a different color red, right? But if you had a button every single time that you could push when you know what hits the fan, right? When something massive is happening in your life, right? If you had a button you could press to say, I need help, I need something that could expedite this, figure this thing out, a plan, if you will, a blueprint for something to happen. If this happens, I want to be able to hit a button. That button that you're hitting is the documents that you put in place for when these massive things could occur. And when I talk about massive things, there's going to be some major things you want to make sure you have included in your estate plan. So you just can't look at it like, oh, well, online says all I need is a will. Yeah, that covers like the tip of the iceberg. That is, okay, after you're dead, what do you want to happen? We need to figure out what are the simple buttons we can push in our, or that we can place in our lives. That way for us and for our family and loved ones, when something bad happens, somebody knows how to hit the button. Is that making sense so far?
Yeah, I mean, I really like that you're talking about this. Like, it's a question I get asked a lot. Well, I have a will. I see a will. I need a will. Isn't that all I need?
Yeah.
And there's so much more to it out there than just wills, you know?
Right. There is. I mean, even in the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, you had Carlton, right? You had Will Smith, you had the Will, and you had Carlton, right? So let's get a barometer right off the bat, right? There's always something more than just the will. So let's talk about some of those things there today, okay? So the first thing I want to make sure we talk about is, and I watched your live. I went back and watched your live earlier on this week for your own community, your own group, and I really appreciated some of the stuff you were talking about because I think people really need to understand, like, okay, what are some of these documents that I need to have in place, okay? So one of the first ones we can talk about that almost everybody needs to have is that if you have kids, you at least need the will. Let's be very clear. You need the will because the will helps to establish your guardianship. Every state has that parameter. If you have children underneath the age of 18, your will establish and name your guardians, okay? So, like, if you take nothing else away from this whole video and things we're going to be talking about, if you have kids under the age of 18, run today to get your will done. Contact my office. We'll talk. How about that? Right? Another shameless plug for me. But again, it is something that we need to just address and sit back and say. But now, beyond the will, let's talk about some different types of documents and things that you're going to need. So one of those things that we want to talk about, and you mentioned it in your live this week, is a healthcare power of attorney. Okay? A healthcare power of attorney is basically giving somebody the authority to make decisions based upon you not being able to do so. What does that mean? You're incapacitated, right? You are unavailable, like because you're on your deathbed. Maybe you're not in death. Maybe you went into a coma. Who knows? But somebody needs to be able to make those decisions. Maybe they have you intentionally put out, right? Because of, you were in a serious car accident or something like that. Somebody needs to have the ability to make some medical decisions for you. Now, a lot of people say to me, oh, but when I went to my doctor, I signed something that said that somebody could do that. Let me be very clear. The authority given by that document is very, very loose, if anything. If your doctor even offers the power of attorney, generally they stop at living a will, and we're going to get to that in a second, and HIPAA. But if it does cover, it's very, very loose. And on top of it, what I can say to you is that it is something where you want explicit instructions. You want somebody to be able to have that specific document. You also might want to have what's called successor, right? Successor healthcare power of attorneys, or agents in fact, or attorneys in fact, depending on what state you're in. Because those people, like, what if that first person's not available? What if it's, your wife or your husband, and then they're not available to get to the hospital, but your sibling is, your cousin is, or whatever, right? So having those specific instructions and then having those conversations with them, telling them, hey, here's what I want. And people go, well, what do you mean, here's what I want? It's actually having some pretty deep conversations talking about what's my risk tolerance. Like if somebody says, hey, he was in a car accident, we have him intentionally put under right now because he's going to be in a lot of pain and stuff like that. So we need to make a decision, though. If we try to save the foot, he could lose the leg. Let's use some very simple stuff here. Bad car accident, Tiger Woods, boom, off the road. Let's say Tiger's out. And somebody has to step into the role of the healthcare power of attorney. Tiger's leg was pinned in the car. And they say, listen, there's a lot going on. The foot needs pins, needs this, needs that. And, if we try to save the foot, we could lose the whole leg. What does that mean? Tiger's golf game's over forever, probably, right? I shouldn't say probably. That's probably a little too far, but it would take him a while to become Tiger Woods again, okay? So I'm sure his healthcare power of attorney knows what's his risk tolerance for some of that kind of stuff. What would happen then? You could say, hey, you know what? If that happens, I'd rather take the risk. Please save my foot. Do whatever you have to do to keep me intact, keep all my organs intact. I'd rather take the risk. That's what your healthcare power of attorney does. Contrary to that, you could have what's called a durable power of attorney, or like a business power of attorney. So the business power of attorney, the durable power of attorney, which we use in a lot of states, the general durable power of attorney would be somebody who makes all your business decisions, financial decisions. This is great too as well if you have if you like you're out of town and you have a real estate closing, right? If you're out of town and a financial decision, you're in Europe and somebody needs to make a decision to work with their financial advisor to make a money decision or something like that, right? And it needs to be made right then on their spot, depending, of course, on the policies and procedures for who you're working with and what their tolerance is for certain things. A business power of attorney can be utilized even if you're not ill or incapacitated. But let's just take it even further. If you were ill and incapacitated in some capacity, and you have your healthcare power of attorney making healthcare decisions for you, who's running your life? Who's paying your mortgage? Who's calling in things? Who's paying credit cards? Who's taking care of things? You're going to recover. You may not have a foot, you may not have a leg, but you're going to recover. Who's taking care of all your financials during that time? And again, I want you to start to think about how this cross-references to not just you, but maybe a spouse, or maybe even putting that onus on your children and stuff like that as we're talking about this. So that's the second document, which would be the durable power of attorney, taking care of your business affairs. Go ahead. Did you have a question?
We're in this like kind of sandwich generation. We're in this like squeeze right now. When we talk about being next gen money coaches, a lot of us, we have children, we have aging parents. Some of us may still have a few grandparents that are still out there that we're dealing with these things. And it's not just about me getting my stuff together, which obviously, like you said, if I have kids under the age of 18, I got to make sure that I got this stuff put together. Right. But also thinking about this stuff for our parents, for our grandparents, for the different family members we have out there, sharing this information, sharing this video with them, letting them know, hey, man, there's a lot out there more, because that's what I'm hearing you say right now. There's a lot out there besides just getting a will done.
Right. Right. I mean, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that if you're going through and doing this, people are going to have questions. What would be the best way if they have any questions and want to interact with you on it?
You can come to, just go to DLG4YOU.com. Right there, you can click on the button that says work with us. You could schedule a free call. Okay, right there. That's the easiest way. So again, just remember that The estate plan is several documents. It's not just the will. It's not just what it is by itself. It's several documents. Just to rattle off just a couple of their names of their documents that it should include. You've got things like your living will, which is different than your last will and testament. It gets very confusing. A lot of people don't know the difference. But again, living will. Living will is what happens in the ultimate healthcare decision, which is, do I want to be kept alive or not, right? Another document that I strongly suggest for clients to have, we're going through this right now with our own family, with some people, and that is having your funeral planning memorandum set up and structured correctly. Having that, take that burden and responsibility off of your loved ones, you know? Another one that I like to set up is a pet services agreement, or even potentially even a pet trust, right? What happens to your pets? You know, a lot of people watching may not have kids, but you might have a pet that you want to make sure is cared for. If in the event something happens to you, you want to make sure that they're taken care of, that you know, there's someone has the ability to care for them. And even if you're just gone for periods of time. Another one that might come to mind is you know, a child protection agreement, or what I call, you know, a limited child health care agreement, you know, something that allows people to help make healthcare decisions for your children while you're out of town. All these documents, every single one of these things are the simple button you can hit when something major happens in your life and you want to be able to say, there's a plan for that. Hit the button, show the document, and know you're moving on and making good, sound business, financial, and family decisions for your future.
All right, man. I want to give you a minute here and just promote yourself. We appreciate you so much for coming on and helping us go through and talk about these things. Matt, there's a lot of choices for attorneys out there in the world. There's a lot of choices for people to work with. Why should someone come work with you?
Well, I usually like to say right off the bat, everybody else sucks. So let's just get right there off the bat, right? Like, I'm willing to say that. I'm willing to step out and say that. In fact, if you go to my website, I got something for everybody listening today, okay? If you go to my website, all right, and you go to DLG for you, and you take a look, you can click on the main page, and I've got a great thing I want to give away to everybody watching here today. It'll allow you to show you all the hacks and tips and secrets that lawyers don't want you to know, that they don't want you to hear about when it comes to setting up your estate plan and working with an attorney, okay? They don't want you to know these things. I put them all together, put them in one big document for you. That way you can understand everything. And that's really the bottom line. Why do you want to work with me? I'm honest. I'm transparent. I'm in jeans and a polo. You'll never catch me in a shirt and tie anymore. I don't go to court anymore. You know what I mean? I'm here to work with everyday people and everyday problems, providing everyday legal solutions. I'm here to bring custom, affordable, and convenient products and solutions to clients, to the masses. So again, that's really why we're here and why we built what we built and why I walked away from the big firm life and big corporate world and everything else that I was doing. I want to change the way that law is delivered, because I believe, coming from our family and knowing that, you know, we're some of the first people in our family to get educated, that education has power. It has, that knowledge has power. And for years, it's been held and harnessed by those with money and those that already know what they're doing, or those who already have their own attorneys and whatnot. How can we take those same legal solutions and deliver it out to the masses? That's what we're about. And that's why you should go check out DLG4YOU.com.
Love it. Love it. Appreciate you coming on board today, doing everything. This is the first time you've been with Next Gen Money since we kind of started everything. How'd you feel this went?
I felt went great. Felt went fine. I like the idea. I've got some questions coming in from the audience. I like the idea that you know, there were some questions ahead of time too as well, that people really did need to understand the difference between some of these things. And it was kind of nice to be able to explain it, because sometimes I think, you know, no matter who you have on the show, no matter what you're doing, I think we, from the other side of the camera, if you will, not the other side of the table nowadays, we're always on the other side of the camera, right? But from the other side of the camera, I think we take it for granted, not thinking like, okay, what is the client actually thinking? Like, what's a real question a client might have? Like, what's the difference between a will and a full estate plan, right? You know, things like that. So I'm really, really glad to have those questions in this format. It's a great format. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. Appreciate you for coming on. Appreciate all that you're doing here. I've read your tips and tricks document. It's great. If you guys haven't gotten to go read this yet, go to DLG4YOU.com and download it. It answers all these questions. Even it goes a little more in depth than what we talked about here today, but it really, really helps out. So thank you, sir. Appreciate you coming on board. Thank you.
Yep. Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right, guys, thank you for tuning in and watching Will's Trusts and Estates. We're going to be doing a lot more with additional content. We're going to talk about all different things, ways to make money, ways to keep money, ways to plan for money. It's going to be big over the next couple of weeks. The next couple of weeks is just going to be me coming on, talking to you through these things. But if you're somebody out there who talks about these things, if you're somebody who likes to make money, you like to do more with money, you want to do good with money, if you've got things in your life that you're working on, I want to hear about them. I want to get you on. I want to get your message out there as much as we can. Looking for people right now to interview and have conversations with. If that's you, give me a hashtag interview or hashtag, will be a good one for this. Hashtag conversation, connection. That's really the point of this, is we want to start getting the connections out there. There's a lot of people out there that want to do good with money, and we want to work it and get people connected, people who want to do good with money together and helping it make it happen in the world. All right, guys, for today, something I'd like to see. Now, if you're tuning in for the first time, you've probably not heard me say this before. We're now expanding our audience from just the private Facebook group to all of the Facebook world. I have something that I say at the end of every single message that I bring and say, because I believe words are powerful. And when you have powerful words, when they go out in the universe, they cannot come back without bringing something back to you. So for you who are watching this here today, I want to see jobs and better jobs, raises and bonuses, positions and promotions, provisions and resources, checks in the mail, finding money, and debts paid off, so that you have more than enough to dent the universe in the way that you were called to. I appreciate you for joining me. Thank you. This has been the first episode of Money Talks with Next Gen Money Coaching. My name is Mark Dooley. We'll see you. Have a good